Welcome back to the Teacher's AI Cafe. I'm Kane, a teacher and a parent who wants AI to give us back our time. I share practical classroom-tested AI strategies to cut down your workload, improve your feedback and reduce stress so you can get your evenings back and be more present with your friends and family. No jargon, just actionable steps. Grab your mug. Now let's get going. Welcome back to the Educators Update on AI for the 17th of August. Well, not a lot has happened in the last week. I would say the few weeks before that, there was a lot of significant changes. There's some definitely more coming, but I don't have access to them. But I think I'm going to cover them in Wednesday's episode, where I talk a bit more about the different platforms and the apps that are actually now available for there. So what has happened in the last week? I guess the most interesting story I found is a study by 6 English language teachers started a project or study where they compared their own feedback on student writing with feedback generated by AI. So the study covered 211 student drafts. The important finding was not that AI became a perfect marker. Instead, teachers used AI as a second opinion. So they obviously marked it themselves. They went through it, then they went through and had AI mark the same paper, and they compared the results in case things they missed. So they asked it, what did AI notice? What did it miss? Was the advice accurate? Was this feedback actually to help students improve? Is this a useful model for teachers using AI? They did not treat AI feedback as a final answer. Like I said, it was a draft. Good feedback still depends on a couple of things that AI does not know: the student, the learning goal, class context, curriculum, and the next realistic step that the learner needs to actually do when giving feedback. I mean, you can feed some of those into it, but I said human judgment is more important. So why does this study matter to us as educators? Well, simply, marking is demanding, takes a lot of our time up, and often our time outside school at home. When we work through a large stack of student work, time and fatigue can set in. That can vary the marking results, just human nature. AI can help identify patterns, suggest a clearer language, or provide another way to explain an issue. But teacher review is essential, obviously, because the teacher applies everything as in a holistic sort of approach. So the practical aim out of this study was not to make automated marking. It's aimed to give better feedback to students. So the way they did this, they identified the sample of work, used the same task description rubric. They asked the approved AI tool to draft feedback, then compared the results. And the AI was asked to decide, what would I keep? What would I rewrite? What is missing? Is this feedback specific enough for students to act on? If the results improves your feedback process, keep experimenting. If it adds work or genetic advice, then stop. Tool has to earn its place within the workflow. So what did they actually find out of this study? Well, they actually found that it did a fairly good job. It didn't mark as well as humans. So what the study found was it didn't actually mark as well as human teachers. But what it did do, it did pick up a few bits and pieces which the teacher may not have considered on their first pass on doing it. Given we don't have time to review a task twice, particularly in areas such as history or the humanities, such as history writing, where you're reading long essays, this is very good, very different when you're doing, like when I teach computer science, I've got very individual questions, 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. It's much easier to quickly review them a second time with that. But also it'd be an interesting one, its application here is in the way of, we do moderation in school where if we have a large number of people teaching, we'll randomly pick an A, say a C and a D paper. We'll mark it anonymously, then we'll then compare what different people got. This is done anonymously because you just fill on a sheet what your grade is and you hand it in, it's collated. And then you compare and discuss what the average was, why people come to that understanding, and why an assessment mark should be different. And that way a person anonymously can think, well, I gave that person, say, a 12 out of 20. Everyone else gave it an 8 out of 20 or a 16 out of 20. You can hear the conversations and that professional development of talking through how people mark an assessment and then come to the conclusion, and then people agree to stand, particularly if you've got more experienced markers. Now, I can see AI having a role within that and actually providing a second voice, a challenging opinion of what the results actually may be, and quite handy. Also more time efficient than going through the process of, say, moderation requires a meeting time, staff to come off what they're normally doing and working through it, though the benefits of it is actually huge. So Not much to say this week in terms of massive tech development because the last few weeks have been really, really busy. So till then, keep up the good work, keep experimenting. Got any questions, pop them in the Facebook group. I did put a post in there. If you've got one question, no matter how simple, I'll definitely address it on the podcast because the more I can give specific support for what you want, the better it's going to be. Till then, look after yourself. Talk to you soon.